31, 32, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. I'm a cyclist and I live in the Pennines, and welcome to my channel. And today we're on a cracking ride. We've been over to Sorby Bridge, in towards Halifax and back down the Calderdale Valley. Now I've had to take a snapshot here because there was so much wind on the microphone I couldn't hear what was being said on the playback. But we ended up cycling towards a cafe in Mythenroyd, but it was way too small for us to all fit in. But it looked nice and cosy. We was also hitting speeds of over 50 miles an hour on the descents, and in the end we found a cracking cafe in Heptonstall. Anyway, here's the video and thank you for watching. So here we are now on the first climb of the day on the A640 just out of Newhay. I actually like this climb and it's an even better descent. So there's a nice little shot of us all going by, and when you're in the group like that it's a nice place to be. But I had to go back, get the camera. That's the common theme these days. So there's the guys just ahead on the next corner. But I've got a gap I need to close down quickly. So I've got to catch them up, ready for the next descent. And there we are, just about to bridge the gap. The apex of the hill is just on the horizon there. So I quickly got on the back, then went straight through. As you can see there, the road now just drops off pretty quickly. This is a really good, short, sharp little descent. And on this occasion, none of the lads were taking me on. So I very quickly got up to speed and got a little gap. But there's always a sting in the tail, and the lads did get me back on the next major descent. 31, 32, 34, 35. As you can see, it is wet, 36, it's damp, and I do not advocate going this fast down the hills unless you are a competent bike handler or you just like taking risks. So that descent leads us into Denshaw. Here we are now hitting the A672 Ripponden Road. This is a long climb up into the Pennines where we get to a place locally known as Windy Hill or Junction 22 on the M62. Here I am halfway up. I made a breakaway on the climb just to get some shots in of the guys. And look how remote we are, we're high up, it's quite desolate up here, and at times it can be a lonely place, you feel exposed. And if you look carefully there, there's the guys coming through in the small group. Okay, we're on the top of Windy Hill. It's a bit windy, a bit foggy, a bit miserly. So we've got a good tailwind down a very long descent all the way to Sorby Bridge and ultimately Halifax. This could be pretty quick, we've got to be careful though. We've got to choose the right line on the road, watch out for surface water and each other. Oh, he's off! He's off, he's off, he's off! 30 mile an hour! 35! 38! 39! 40! 42! 45! 46! 47! Nearly 48! 48! 48 miles an hour! Now, as much as I love going quick down hills, this is always a scary descent. So please be careful if you want to try and do this. But coming up behind me is Steve, like a rocket. There he is with his Dogma F8, and this is the difference between my bike and his bike. I just could not hold that wheel. My bike will not do these speeds. I've got to work so hard, I just can't put the effort in. He's got a gap there, freewheeling, leaving me. I can't keep up, the bike just will not perform. But it's a great descent. And my best option now is to wait for Owen and Mike who are behind me and work with them to either bridge the gap or just get down with a group. So if we skip further down this descent, Here comes Owen. Now I've got to put some real effort in, get on his back wheel and hold it, because if not I'll be way off the back. So there's no messing about it, and we've got quite a nice chicane ahead of us.
Left hander, 42, 41 miles an hour, right hander, chicane, 40 miles an hour, cars, hey, get some power down, uphill, 30 miles an hour.
And just skipping down the road a bit further forward, Mike's now in on the action, and there's Owen coming to a sudden halt. So me and Mike are not quite sure what's going on, but we crack on with it. We're carrying some good pace again, and we're reaching a midsection where the pace slightly slows down, but we're still doing around 35 miles per hour for quite a long way. But very quickly, if Owen has stopped, that gap will become massive, and within a minute we'll be half a mile down the road. Just looking at my riding style there, I'm actually sitting on that top tube, crouched right in. Mike's looking over his shoulder, making sure that I'm on his wheel all the way. Here we are now on a much longer open stretch of the descent, and I'm doing my turn on the front with Mike behind. Owen is still way back behind us trying to fix a mechanical. Again, I'm tucking in, trying to be as aerodynamic as possible. I've also got a big left-hand bend here, and I'm on brand new tyres, and I never quite trust brand new tyres in the wet. I always like to get a few hundred miles in them first to get them bedded in. Here's me and Mike now just working together. Can you see my flashing light reflecting off his overshoes? But we're both doing turns on the front, doing rotations, keeping the pace high. But the guys, as you can see, they're well ahead. Andy and Steve have really put the hammer down to get that gap. And fair play to them.
Well, we're in Ripponden after that amazing descent. These guys here were hitting 50 plus mile an hour, 18.8 miles into the ride. And Owen is somewhere up there. Right, we're going to go back up the road for Owen. This looks like him here. At them speeds, in a couple of minutes you've done a mile, so you can easily get detached. We've got a bit of bike talk. Owen's borrowing this Dogma. He's got a Dogma F10, hydraulic disc, Ultegra, and the seat post is not clamping. So it looks like Owen's knees were nearly punching him in the face when that dropped.
And then I thought, oh, coming down again.
Yeah. Anyway, I know I go on about this bike. I mean, I've done John O'Groats Land's End, John O'Groats, North Coast 500, and it's a ride all day bike. But when them Dogmas, the F8s and the F10s and the S-Works, when they start picking up speed, and not forgetting Andy's Giant, when they start descending, I'm pedalling like an absolute idiot, and I just cannot keep up. So I do find it fascinating that, you know, a bike can make the difference. They've got all that technology, aerodynamics, the lot, and they certainly do make them shift. Whoa. We're on one of them climbs that you get in Halifax. They're uphill for sure. Boy oh boy, steep. We're now on a busy descent. Everyone's out Christmas shopping. We're near London Foot. And try saying that when you've had a few. So we're in search of a cafe. So we're heading towards Mytham Royd, Hebden Bridge, Todmorden. But we're not sure quite what to do at the moment. Okay, we're in Mytham Royd. There's the guys just coming down the valley. So there's a cafe actually just here. There's no room in that cafe.
No.
I think you can fit about 8 people in at the most, but it looks cosy.
It does, it's a very tidgy cafe.
Tidgy?
Yeah.
Oh, this is steep. We're on the climb from Hebden Bridge and it goes up to Heptonstall. It's a hilly one. This is a tough climb. relentless. And then we've got a cobble section. How many watts are you at? Andy's cycling at 350 watts. Well, that were a tough climb, and it goes further up there across the moor. But nice cafe, get something to eat, get warmed up.
Well, you find it hard now, but you can't sit on Santa's knee, innit?
Yeah, I tried it on Saturday. He wasn't having it. I just said, what's up?
You're not allowed to.
No. I think they're going to change Father Christmas to a lady. I think.
Well, they're doing James Bond, aren't they? It's a woman next.
Well, that's all been nice and appropriate, hasn't it?
Right?
I was just saying it's been nice and appropriate. We're on a really nice little back lane above Todmorden and Ebden Bridge. It's blustery though, a lot of swirling wind about. It's quite cold now as well, and you get some strange shaped rocks around here too. That was quite a tough exposed climb there, but we've got that long descent now past the golf course down Crossstone Road. It could be dangerous, this could be fast and a bit wet. On your right.
So here we are now on a really long steep descent of Crossstone Road. We're going to drop from 400 metres above sea level to about 140 metres in the valley below. Again, this is where I think this bike comes into its own. It's got 28mm tyres, disc brakes, and it's got slightly wider handlebars than a normal road bike, so you do get some confidence and good feedback. And again, look at the gap there. It's a bit of a role reversal here because it's more of a technical descent than an all-out power descent. Just passing there, Mike, and now I've got Andy in my sights. Got a bit of muck on the lens there, but it can't be helped. I will clean it later on. So now I've got an open road ahead of me, and I can enjoy this descent. I can't take too many risks because the conditions aren't perfect. That's better now, we've got the camera wiped. So if we just move a bit further down the road, and we've got a really nice fast section developing here. You get a real good sense of speed with the dry stone walls either side of you. I'm doing around 33-34 miles an hour here, I think. There was a car ahead. Again, it's safe to get down this road with the car coming on. Nice lay-by there. And I'll just keep my pace nice and steady. The golf course on the right. And then shortly down this section, I've got to be very mindful of a T-junction. So I will wait there for the lads and give them a reminder, make sure it's safe for them to approach it. And the glare on the road makes it pretty hard to spot. But there we are, we're safe.
Clear! Clear! Okay,
Clear!
this section here, it's hard to see that there's an actual junction there.
Right
So,
to him.
I'll wait here and keep it clear.
Clear!
So let's get back on board on the final part of this descent, and it does get really steep down here with quite a few switchbacks. Here I am just getting onto the back wheel with Owen, and then I'll quickly get around Owen, and he's not used to that bike at the moment that he's borrowing. Here we are now, left-hander,
Yeah, we came up this
nice
the
sharp
other day.
left-hander, and then I think I've got Mike in my sights just ahead, so let the brakes off a bit, let the bike do the work.
Steep.
It does look pretty quick down there, to be honest, and there's Mike. Another right-hander coming up. Heavy on the brakes here. See, Mike's not on a disc bike there, so I can afford to brake quite late and a lot heavier. And then that's more or less it. We're just going to come down and meet the main road that leads into Todmorden. that was the final descent of the day. So here's some data for the ride. We actually cycled just short of 50 miles and we climbed nearly 4,000 feet with a reasonable average speed of 14 miles per hour. And although it says my maximum speed was 53.2 miles an hour, it was more like 48 miles per hour on the day. And looking at the graph there, it was a very hilly day. Anyway, here's a few clips that never quite made it into the first part of this video.
That could have been a good shot then. It's Mike. Whoops. Oh, what gear am I in? This is where I go and get my camera again. And the big gap appears. I'm a cyclist and I live in the Pennines. Oh, this is steep. We're on the climb from Hebden Bridge. I get the breath back. Take two.
Well, you find it hard now, but you can't sit on Santa's knee, innit?
Yeah, tried it last Saturday, he wasn't having it. I just said, what's up?
You're not allowed to.